Before we begin, I would just like to say a massive thank you for joining the conversation. Everything I share on Atlas comes from my own experiences, observations, research, and my personal opinions. While I will always aim to provide accurate and helpful information, nothing discussed here should be taken as medical, psychological, financial, or any other type of professional advice. If you are experiencing crisis, please do reach out to a qualified professional or seek your local emergency services. Now, let's begin. Today, I will be looking at loneliness epidemic among men. More and more men report that they don't have even a single close friend they can lean to. However, this episode is not just about having nobody around you. It's about something that you experience personally. Having people around you and still feeling incredibly lonely. You may recall from my previous videos and posts that loneliness is probably the biggest challenge that I faced while dealing with my depression. I had people around me. I had my family, I had friends I could talk to and lean on. I kept playing basketball on a weekly basis and interacting with my colleagues on a daily basis, and yet I felt alone. So that got me thinking, how is it possible to have so many people around you, so many people you can interact with, and still feel lonely? There's two main reasons that I identified, at least personally for myself. Number one is we're confusing accessibility with genuine connections. There's more ways nowadays to stay connected than ever before through messaging, social media, group chats, video calls, gaming. We can even know what somebody did over the weekend or had for dinner without actually having to speak to them. However, do we know how that person is actually doing? And don't get me wrong, being connected is great and very useful for you, but it can't substitute the quality time you actually spend together, the actual meaningful conversations you have about one another's life. And number two reason that I identified is how we actually view friendships and, in a way, utilize them. Speaking from my personal experience, I've often seen it as great to spend time with friends or family through the good times, have a laugh, watch a movie, play sports, go on holidays together, enjoy time together. However, as soon as it comes to dealing with any issues or addressing anything more serious, I felt the responsibility to carry that weight by myself. I thought that I need to be strong enough to deal with my own problems. I didn't want to burden my friends or my family with them. However, as human beings, we're social creatures. And we're built or designed to lean on one another in times of needs, as we're a lot stronger and more capable when we work as a group. So perhaps the better question is not whether you have people around you. It's whether you have genuine connections and are able to lean on those friendships when you need them. Another interesting thing that I've noticed around friendships nowadays is that a lot of them seem to be based on convenience and shared activities. You can have your gym friends, basketball friends, football friends, travel friends, drinking friends. And it's great to have people you can do these things with. However, what happens when you remove the activity? Who will be there to help you? Who will help you move house? Who will support you when you're going through relationship issues or financial issues or dealing with things you don't know even how to tackle? And similarly, who are the people who can turn to you for help when they need you? When it comes to relationships, I believe that it's important to know that quality is more important than quantity. Nowadays, there seems to be almost like a competition, especially when you consider social media, around who's got more friends, who's got more followers, more connections. However, does that equate to friendships? Friendships, I believe, similarly as anything else in life, require effort, time, commitment. And can you actually invest sufficient time to nurture relationships with 100, 200, 500 and more people? So when it comes to friendships, I believe 10 friends you play sports with is not necessarily more valuable than 2 friends you can genuinely talk to and lean to when you need support. It's not just friendships that have changed over the past couple of decades and are having an impact on loneliness levels. It's also our relationships, because they form such a huge part of human connection. Modern dating apps and social media has given us what seems to be an unprecedented access to potential partners. However, more access doesn't necessarily mean deeper connections. It seems like this perceived opinion that you have hundreds more options just one swipe away has made dating in some ways more superficial and harder to build deep connections. And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to utilizing dating apps or social media to meet people. I personally know several people who have found their partners, whether it's girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, through these means. However, the reason I'm bringing it up is because our approach to using these methods and our mindset does matter in how we build these connections, how we build these relationships. And perhaps the most important part about building stronger connections and friendships is the friend that you are to others. If you want somebody who checks in, you need to be the one checking in with them. If you want a friend who makes time for you, you need to make time for them. If you want somebody who will be there for you when it may not be convenient for them, you need to be willing to be there for your friends, even if it's not convenient for yourself. And if you want somebody whom you can open up to and be vulnerable to, you need to create space where friends can come to you and be able to open up and be vulnerable with you. So perhaps the question's not around who's going to be there for me when I need them, but more, whom will I be there for when they need me? As we've explored today, I genuinely believe that the answer to loneliness is not about building bigger social circles, but it's about building stronger and more meaningful connections with the people that we have around us. And this takes time, effort, shared experiences, openness, willingness to be vulnerable with the other person. So you don't need hundreds of people to feel connected. Sometimes you just need a few genuine friendships that can make a huge difference to your life. Later in the season, we'll look into more detail around how to build stronger relationships and better social circles. But for now, perhaps, the question you should ask yourself is, who are the few people that are genuinely important in my life? And am I putting enough time and effort into nourishing these relationships? Join me next week when we will be looking at modern masculinity and the confusing rules and constant pressure that men face today.